Hey. Hello, my friends. We are so excited about this video today. Yeah. We are going to be sharing our 9 favorite hikes in Switzerland.
If you're new to the channel, my name's David.
I'm Kaylee.
And we run a travel and adventure vlog called Made to Explore. If you're into adventure travel and van life, be sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video if you found it useful. It'll really help support the channel.
Make sure to stay tuned until the end of the video because we promise you are not going to want to miss number 1.
It's a big one. Coming from the Canadian Rockies, we do a ton of hiking, and Switzerland absolutely blew us away.
Maybe our favorite hiking destination ever so far to date. They've got everything. They've got crazy glaciers, incredible ridge lines, turquoise blue lakes, crazy mountain ranges. I mean, the Matterhorn is there, so that's like wild on its own. Yeah. And everything is really accessible, which is so cool. Yeah. They've got a ton of mountain huts that you can stay in, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, that make your journey even better.
Yeah.
And
not to mention, if you don't love to hike, a lot of these places do have gondolas, trains, so you can still make your way to the peak. Yes. Yeah, there's options for budget friendly with more hiking, or there's options for not so budget friendly with less hiking. If you're planning a trip to Switzerland, we have developed a travel guide that you've got to check out. It has accommodation, a ton of budget tips, how to get around, whether you're using public transportation or renting a car, camping, a ton of activities. It's 77 pages. It's instant download, so you can get to planning right away.
This list, guys, we just want to have a little disclaimer. It was impossible to rank these hikes because they're all so unique and they're all so freaking good.
When we came up with the list, we were like putting them in all different areas. We couldn't choose which one was number 1, which one was number 4. The whole thing was hard.
Just know they're all really good.
You should definitely think about doing them all.
Best advice, do all the hikes. All right, let's get into the list. Number 9 on our list is a hike called Stoos Ridge. So this hike is on a beautiful ridgeline that looks over Lake Lucerne.
And to get up to the top of the ridge, you actually have to take the steepest funicular in the world, which is a pretty neat ride.
Yeah, pretty cool experience. So there are a few actually different options here. You can pay 50 francs for a day pass to this park, which includes all of your funicular and gondola tickets. We took the steepest funicular up to a little town, and then we hopped on the Klingenstock chairlift, which took us up to the ridge. From there, we hiked along the ridge, and then we took the Fronelstock gondola back down and the funicular back down. If you want to skip one or both of those gondolas on either side of the ridge, you can do so and save a little bit of money, give yourself a little bit more hike.
Before you get on the gondola to go back down to the town, make sure to stop and play with the goats, because Kaylee was in heaven during this point. It's also the nicest views here. When we did this hike, it was super cloudy along the ridgeline, which was unfortunate. Hopefully it's not that way for you, but we had the nicest views right at the end overlooking the lake. Just stunning.
Yeah, so goat petting zoo must do, because come on, how often does that happen? They're so cute. You already got yours.
Mama's gotta eat.
And then also there's you can actually stay the night up there if you want to. There's a restaurant, and there's a big platform, gives you the best views over the lake. So you can do the hike in either direction too, but we liked ending up at the Fronelstock chairlift because that was the best view of the hike. It's nice to have that at the end.
Number 8 on the list is the scariest hike on this list. It is the Via Ferrata from Murren to Gimmelwald, and I was absolutely terrified for the majority of this. As I get older, I've realized I'm more scared of heights, and this was a telltale sign of that.
Yeah, if you're scared of heights, you might have a little bit of an issue with it. I actually was not scared at all. You're hooked in the whole time, which is really nice. So if you've ever done a Via Ferrata before, you have a harness and you have clips and you're hooked into huge cables that are anchored into the rock. So it's not like you're going to fall, but you are traversing some pretty crazy...
Yes, and Switzerland is really known for their Via Ferratas, and if you're any kind of adrenaline junkie, this is perfect for you. You have to do this. It was so cool.
You can do this hike without a tour guide, which is a really unique part about it. In Canada, we have Via Ferratas, but you have to have a guide.
Wouldn't recommend this if it's your first Via Ferrata. Probably would recommend booking a tour if you've done one in the past or have a really good idea of what it is.
Yeah, we had done one Via Ferrata in Canada, and then we went and I felt very comfortable doing this. David felt comfortable with the gear, not so comfortable with the heights.
Once you get to Murren, you can rent all the gear you need for about 22 francs per day. That price didn't include shoes because we just brought our hiking boots, but you can also rent Via Ferrata shoes if you want to. And then once you get back around, you can just drop them off. The people at this sports rental store really knew their staff. They were very helpful, very friendly. Intersport in Murren.
It's probably also worth noting that to get to Murren, you have to take the gondola train combo from Lauterbrunnen.
Yeah.
And that is 22 francs per person round trip as well. Number 7 on the list is the Gorner Glacier.
This is one of the most popular spots for people who visit Zermatt, other than looking at the Matterhorn, of course.
This glacier is accessible by a few different methods. If you want to hike from Zermatt up to the Gorner Glacier, it's going to be about 20 kilometers and 1,500 meters of elevation gain. So that's a lot, depending on
your fitness.
Yeah. There's also an option to not hike at all and take the Gorner Glacier, which is a train that runs all the way from Zermatt up to a viewpoint overlooking the glacier. It costs 110 Swiss francs per person round trip, though. So
not budget friendly at all.
Yeah, that's a hefty bill to pay. We did a little bit of a combination hike here, which we would highly recommend with a different hike on our list that we're going to talk about a little bit later.
Yep, and we have a specific YouTube video for that, so check it out.
Something to note with this hike as well is that if you decide to take the train all the way to a top, there's a loop that you can do from the top that actually gets you close to the glacier, which we'd recommend doing. So what you're going to want to do is go down to your right. There's a set of steep switchbacks, and then you can kind of do a loop and go down to a lower train station and hop on. There's, I think, 5 train stations between Zermatt and the top of the Gorner Glacier.
You can get on and off at each stop and pay different fees along the way to break it up to make it more affordable if you'd like to hike for part of it, ride the train for part of it. Number 6 on the list was the Muttseehutte. This was one of the hikes that I was most excited about in Switzerland personally, and we got a heck of a surprise during this hike because we woke up to about 12 inches of fresh snow because we were there in September. So if you're doing this hike, probably do it in August, September, just to avoid the snow, but we got unlucky. This is one of the longer hikes on the list. Round trip, it's going to be 11.4 kilometers and 600 meters of elevation gain. It's pretty unique because you park your car in the parking lot, or you could take public transit there, and you actually get on a gondola, take the gondola up, and walk through a tunnel for a few kilometers.
Yeah, I think the first 3 kilometers of this hike is flat through a tunnel, which was kind of nice, honestly, when it was snowing because we had a lot of shelter.
Yeah.
But also, that means that you're getting all of your elevation over the last 2.5 kilometers. So that's why this hike gets you.
Yes. Yeah, it was very steep.
We're pretty sure we just need to make it to the top of this massive rock wall, and the hut will be somewhere up there.
We decided to spend the night at the top, and it's a good thing we did because the weather was kind of crazy. The cost for doing this hike is $15 for the gondola, and then if you want to stay overnight at the hut, it's $43 per person. This got me and Kaylee a private room, breakfast and dinner, and it was really delicious.
It's a pretty good deal, yeah. Yeah, the huts are super fun. If you get a chance to stay at one of these mountain huts, it's a really, really neat experience.
Once you get to the top, before you start heading towards the Muttseehutte Lodge, you can actually take a left and go to Mutton Chop Viewpoint, and you will overlook Lake Limerinsee, which is really beautiful. It's what this hike is known for, and definitely would recommend do that. We didn't do it because We had no view and there was 12 inches of snow. So
yeah, this is why we wanted to do this hike so badly, because we saw the photos from this viewpoint and we were like, oh my God, this looks amazing. Yes. And then we got up there and it was hailing so hard that it hurt. You know, you win some, you lose some. Number 5 on the list is the Schafler Ridge and Sea Alpsees. You can actually do these 2 hikes separate, but we would definitely recommend combining them together. Something that you'll notice in Switzerland is there's just hiking trails everywhere. So if there's 2 hikes that you want to do that are close together, take a look on Maps.me or All Trails. There's probably a route connecting them, and there's also gondolas that take you everywhere. So what we did is we took a gondola right off the bat. That goes up at least 1,000 meters of elevation gain in about 7 minutes. So that's just a really fun way to kick off the hike.
Definitely do that.
Yeah, and then from there we hiked and stayed the night at the Schafler Hut. If you get a chance to do this, you definitely should. It was 150 Swiss francs for both of us for a private room, and we had the craziest view over the ridge, which was amazing. Yes. The reason that we booked this hut was so that we could be there for sunrise and sunset, which was 100% worth the money. Yes. It was so cool.
At sunset, sunrise, the light hits those peaks and it just lights up. The colors are beautiful, so definitely recommend doing that.
Yeah, so cool. And so we stayed the night at the hut, and then the next day we hiked along the ridge and looped down to Stellisee Lake, which is a really beautiful, it's kind of like an emerald green lake in a beautiful Swiss meadow. In total, this was 13.6 kilometers and about 585 meters of elevation gain.
Number 4 on the list is Augstmatthorn. This hike is very well known in the Interlaken area. It overlooks both lakes as well as the town, and like a lot of these other hikes, there's multiple ways to do this. If you have a rental car like we did, it made it a lot easier because we could drive all the way up to a parking lot and then hike up from there. If you don't have a rental car, another way to get here from Interlaken is to take the Harderkolm gondola up to the top, and then you can walk all the way along the ridgeline. This is a lot longer of a route though. Our route was only 5 kilometers and 570 meters of elevation to get to the top of the ridge before we started having views, and this was like the highest point along the ridgeline. Also, keep an eye out for wildlife because there is a ton of it on this hike and it's very common to see.
Number 3 on the list is the Aletsch Glacier. So this was one of our first hikes in Switzerland, and we absolutely fell in love with it. We see a lot of glaciers in Canada, so we didn't think that we were going to be so impressed, but this is the longest glacier in the Alps. It's 23 kilometers long. It's absolutely breathtaking. Like, it's just crazy being up there. And it's very accessible by gondola if you would like to do that. So we ended up taking the gondola almost all the way to the top for 34 Swiss francs per person. And then we did an 8-kilometer hike along the side of the glacier, which was really cool.
The best part of this hike is majority of it. You have beautiful views along the glacier when you're walking there and back.
You can turn this hike into a loop. Like, again, there's so many different ways you can go about this. You can skip the gondolas and hike all the way up. Again, we've got some more detailed blog posts and YouTube videos about exactly all of the details of this hike.
Yeah. Number 2 on the list is Oeschinensee Lake. This is one of the most popular hikes in all of Switzerland. There are so many photographs of it, and for good reason. It's totally worth it. And it lives up to all those photos that you're seeing online, for sure. If you want to add more to this hike, and we wouldn't recommend it because it is like the steepest part, you can do so and skip the gondola. It is 30 francs round trip, so we thought that was definitely worth it.
Yeah, it's just, honestly, it's about 900 meters of elevation gain, and it's just switchbacks under the gondola. Yes. So it's totally up to you, but if you're looking to save a little bit of time and energy, just take that gondola right up to the top.
Absolutely. Once you get to the top, The trail kind of loops on, I believe it's the north side of the lake. We went right off the bat, straight up the ridge, and we would recommend this because you get the elevation gain out of the way, and then on the way back, you can actually like come down the far side and kind of cruise along the lake. We went for a swim, definitely would recommend doing that because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And the water isn't cold at all. Don't even worry about it.
Just put our screaming cold video in now.
There are also restaurants and you can rent a boat if you like. We didn't do this because the price was like a little steep. We also have a dedicated YouTube video for this hike and Aletsch Glacier. So if you want to check those out, down below.
Okay.
Number one.
Number one on
this
the
was
list.
so hard to choose. So hard to choose. But you can see that we like really love this hike.
Yeah. This was our favorite day in Switzerland and we think of it often. This photo was taken at Stellisee Lake.
And if you've Googled the Matterhorn, this is such a popular photograph spot. And we lucked out. Perfect views. We booked this hut the night before we hiked up to it, which was super lucky and just had an incredible time. We also went to Gorner Glacier right after this. So we will, like we said before, link all the details below. If you want to do that, we'd recommend it. But definitely go up to Stellisee Lake for sunrise. It's insanely beautiful.
Yeah, so again, there's some options here. You can forego the gondola, but it's quite a bit. I think it's like 1,300 meters of elevation or something.
Yes.
If you take the gondola up, it's only a 2-kilometer hike with about 100 meters of elevation to get to this point right here.
Yeah.
So 100% worth it. Mm-hmm. You don't have to stay the night at the hut, but we would highly recommend it. We were out there for sunrise, sunset, all the times we were out there.
Star shots in the middle of the night.
Yeah, David was so excited. He was like looking out the window at 4 a.m. when I woke up, just like peeking at everything because he was so excited. It's a really cool experience to have. And we would highly recommend looping this on with the Gorner Glacier because you can kind of just cut across the mountain and you don't have to gain a ton of elevation to get over to the Gorner Glacier from here.
And you have beautiful views of the Matterhorn pretty much the entire time.
Yeah, the whole way. It's like a great way to save money. It's a great way to save time, and it will probably be your all-time favorite day in Switzerland if you do this hike. We do have a video on that whole hike, so we'll put that below as well.
If you're worried about weather, there's also webcams in and around the Zermatt area, so be sure to check those out because they're very useful on planning those hiking routes.
Yeah, if you have any say in this at all, try to do it on a clear day. It will be well worth it.
Thank you guys for sticking around. We hope you have a fantastic time traveling around Switzerland and hopefully crushing all 9 of these hikes. If you like this video, be sure to like it, subscribe to the channel.
Make sure to check out our Switzerland travel guide. We have it linked below. We've put so much effort into this and it has everything that you need to know about planning a really great trip to Switzerland.
That's all we got for today. We'll see you guys in the next one.
See you next week.